All right, hopefully Facebook works out this time. If it's your first time, go ahead and share this feed, and go ahead and say hi in the comments below. It helps us out a ton. And if you have any questions or you want to weigh in on this discussion, please do. It's much more fun when we get to bounce back and forth on ideas rather than just me sitting here talking, which is fine too. But if you guys didn't get the other two videos before, what we're talking about today is exercise and pregnancy. The thing that we run into a lot is, women do get pregnant. It's a cool thing. It's a pretty amazing thing. You're literally responsible for the continuation of the species. You're creating life. And it's I think from a male standpoint, and our perspective is that we are on some level a little jealous of this. And by a little, I think I mean a lot. Like, I wouldn't want to have a menstrual cycle, and I wouldn't want to have to go through the labor process and everything. But I also am kind of curious as to, there's no way that any male in the world can have any idea of the level of the bond between the baby and the mom. There's no way that a male can have any kind of idea around that connection. So it's a really interesting topic for me. But what we're actually going to talk about here is, why is everybody so scared to exercise while pregnant? And this is something early on in my career I shunned away from this. I said, like, if you're pregnant, I'm done training you. I'm just not even going to deal with it. But you do enough research and you find that, for one, just think of it logically for a little bit. A woman's body is extremely durable. Millions of years of evolution have made sure that that baby is going to be able to be born. Like, all of our ancestors that led up to us, if you're here right now, it's because your ancestors survived long enough to pass on their genes. So they made it so that the only people that survived were the people who, or the only genes that survived were the people who survived. Nature is pretty smart that way. But thanks, man. But like, women have these extremely durable bodies, and doctors almost put this idea in their head that they can't lift over 12 pounds, that they're not supposed to exercise, they're not supposed to lift, their joints are going to be too unstable. Most women already deal with, got to be careful with my words here, because the word stability is going to come up, and I'm not talking about mental stability. I'm talking about physical stability. A female joint usually isn't as stiff. It's a little bit more lax. They tend to have more flexibility, so their joint usually isn't nearly as stable as a male's typically. That's not in all cases across the board, but that's kind of the average. So when you are pregnant, the hormones that are being released definitely do cause a little bit more laxity in the joint, but it's nothing that the female wasn't already dealing with anyway. So it's a little bit silly to sit there and hammer on this and hammer on this and hammer on this, that you should be scared to exercise because you're a little bit less stable. See you later, man. Yeah. Menstrual cycles and lifting are tricky. I plan on lifting through pregnancy someday when that happens. That's badass. Like, that's how it should be. Obviously you're not doing certain things. Like, you probably don't want to pull Valsalva maneuver. Valsalva maneuver is when you hammer down and you hold your breath and you increase your blood pressure for that short amount of time. It gives you a little extra burst in strength. It's probably not the greatest idea in the world, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that there's multiple pregnancies that have happened and the woman has been able to take the baby to term and deliver a healthy baby when she pulled Valsalva maneuver on a regular basis. And the reason I can say that is because the human species has been around for about 200,000 years. I think a few of them probably had to do that. This includes the time in Africa where we ran our food to death. There is nothing... I shouldn't say that, but there are very few things that are as stressful as running 20 miles. Like, the accumulation of stress on our body is insane from one step at a time over that period. And if you're in a nomadic tribe, you would have run your food to death. The women would have kept up very closely behind. If you look at marathons, the discrepancy between male and female times is actually pretty small. Yeah, so there's no way that the women were keeping up with the men to be able to run these food to death, or to run their food to death and have the meal. So that's a very stressful thing on our body to run that much. These women had to be pregnant. Like, pregnant women had to do this. Not that many years ago, before the last Olympics, there was a woman who I think she was 7 months pregnant, and she ran her 800-meter race. Like, did she win the race? No, but she was not going to not compete. She was going to compete. I could have said that better, couldn't I? So, where was I? So your body is extremely durable. A female body is extremely durable. Male bodies are extremely durable too, don't get me wrong, but I think that we kind of get left in the back when it comes to the male-female thing. If you guys you're in it, go ahead and say hi. Go ahead and say hi in the comment section. But this idea that you can only lift 12 pounds while you're pregnant is ridiculous. Like, if you think, like, a gallon of milk is about 8 pounds. So, I mean, does that give you an idea how little amount of weight that you can possibly lift is? That's silly. That's what the doctors put in your head. That's this idea that you're supposed to be scared to exercise. Now, things definitely do change. What's going on here? There we go. So things definitely do change. You're probably not going to be able to do like the same abdominal exercises. Like a plank is probably going to be significantly harder when you're in your last trimester, because you have this alien inside of you that is pushing out and ripping apart all your abdominal muscles. So you're probably not going to be able to lift the exact same way, but you're still going to be able to do stuff. Like, don't tell me you can't do an arm curl. Don't tell me you can't do squats. I mean, that'd be silly to not be able to do. You can do squats. Maybe you're not going to put 300 pounds in your back, but you can do squats. And if you can't do squats, then how are you going to go to the bathroom? Scared to do that, not pregnant. Yeah. There's so much fear-mongering. There's so much fear-mongering bullshit out there that it's insane. Like, women aren't supposed to lift. Women aren't supposed to lift when they get pregnant. I heard a guy the other day. It was on the internet in response to that video that went viral about the CrossFit athlete that was still doing Olympic lifts, snatches, cleans, and jerks while she was pregnant, and saying how as soon as she gets out of breath, she's denying her baby oxygen that's inside of her. That's completely ridiculous. There's a huge difference between the air that the female is breathing on the outside and the oxygenation or whatever you want to call it that is being delivered to the baby. Those are two very different things. It's not like as soon as the mom gets out of breath, the baby starts getting out of breath too. I mean, like, people are ridiculous. It's the same thing with joints. I mean, like, yeah, there's probably a little bit more laxity while she's pregnant, but that doesn't mean that, like, come on, that doesn't mean that, oh my God, she should just lay in bed. Just lay in bed. It's a great idea. Lay in bed all day long and see how your pregnancy goes. I bet it goes miserable. I bet it's just no fun whatsoever. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you probably have some idea. I mean, I've only seen a birth on TV. I've never been there. But I think it's pretty obvious that there's some pretty massive physical exertion going on there. I think you want to be in shape for that. I think that you want to be able to recover from that too, because your body is it's expanding. Your hips are changing, your abdominals are changing, your muscles are changing, your back is actually being pulled more into a little bit more into an anterior pelvic tilt, so your spine is increasing its lordotic curve. The kind of like what you feel when you push your stomach out. So you want some. We got a fly in here. Anyway, you want to stay strong during this thing, because I mean, you're going to have a tough time to go at the end of that 9 months. I have no idea. I'm never going to find out what that's like, but it's kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, exactly. Like, and cover their asses from what? I mean, I would like one person to show me any kind of conclusive evidence from a double-blind study that says that there's any harm to a child from a female exercising while pregnant. I would like to see any type of. I don't know if it exists. I've never seen any. I mean, maybe it exists somewhere, but a double-blind study conclusively showing that harm is being done to a fetus while inside the mom from exercise. I don't think any research there exists. Show it to me. Send it to me. I'd be happy to. Like, if anybody can come in and refute anything that I'm saying right now, anybody in the world, I'll listen. I'll do an interview with you. I'll sit here and I'll do an interview with you, and I'll say, okay, well, I was wrong. I have no problem being wrong. I'm perfectly fine with being wrong because that's part of the learning process. But just if you're thinking logically, women are extremely durable. They've done this for thousands and thousands of years. You know, just the human species is about 200,000 years old. You know, the first fossil that we can come up with is in Africa, and I think it's 194,000 years old. We've been doing this for a while, and before that there were other animals that were doing it for a while. Yeah. But yeah, I'd imagine that there's like some insurance stuff, but I think on some level there might be some like self-limiting beliefs here too. So you get into the fear-based truths, and you get into kind of like how people put limits on themselves. So if your doctor is afraid of exercise and she's or he is out of shape, doesn't eat well, not living their life or not experiencing their life the way they want to live it, then they're probably going to put their limit on the pregnant woman, which that's ridiculous too. But we're all, I mean, everything that you say or that I say is I'm putting it through my filter, you're putting it through your filter, and it's coming out. But yeah, this idea that you can't lift. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it would take to actually harm a baby during pregnancy, but I mean, a lot of the time I like to think in terms of worst case scenario. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is a band of really bad guy ninjas drops out of the sky and starts kicking a woman in the stomach. That sounds terrible. You know, like that's worst case scenario. It's probably not going to happen. But you know, a deadlift, a squat, a bench press, an inverted row, a three-point row, some dead bug variations. You're probably not going to do planks. You're probably not going to do push-ups from the floor for most women unless they've really had some pretty good strength down there. Bicep curls, tricep extensions. You know, what's the worst case scenario in a lifting scenario? We do some biceps, some bis and some tris, and we do some rows, and maybe we do some calf raises. You know, we go real bodybuilder isolation type BS, and we ice the knees after they're done, and that's their workout. Was that better than nothing? I mean, I think so. Yeah, but. No, I definitely think that there's some real silly stuff going on with pregnancy and exercise. I think there's some really silly stuff going on with exercise and people's mindset either way. But when you're using that as the obstacle, like, oh, I'm pregnant, now I'm like a victim of my circumstance, I can't do anything. You're still a victim. You think your baby wants you to be the reason that you didn't exercise and keep your body in shape while you were working out. The other one is that your baby wants you to get massive, that you are supposed to gain all this weight while you're pregnant. That's bogus too. There's plenty of women that didn't gain a pound that didn't excessively increase their fat content over the course of their term, and they did just fine too. You know, you're seeing one right behind you there. She had 4 kids. I was one of them. She never changed her clothes size after her pregnancy. You know, it's pretty simple. Don't ever buy bigger jeans. It's going hard. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the insurance stuff. It's kind of too bad. I don't know if the insurance stuff is what keeps people back from being able to do what they want to do. Keeps the doctors from telling people this stuff. But I just think doctors don't really know much. I think the idea that we have is that doctors know all this stuff and we don't know anything. Well, I guarantee you we know much, or how do I say this? There's much more that we do not know than we do know. I guarantee you we know less than we don't know. Does that make sense? I mean, I think most people are that way. I know that I am. I have no problem kind of admitting to that. Every time that I learn, every time I have an epiphany, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I ever thought any different than that. How long have we been going here? 3. We got 3 people here. That's awesome. Can you guys help me out by sharing that? If you think that we put out a good message, if you think Grit Gym puts out a good message, look at her go. Look at her go. Look at those feet. Did you guys hear that? She said, please don't be taping me. You're not being taped. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's kind of amazing what doctors aren't required to do. It's amazing the kind of advice that doctors are giving out. I mean, the amount of, like for instance, the amount of nutritional education that a doctor actually gets is, and they're delivering nutritional strategy. And I mean, that's all right with me. Whatever gets it through to the people to eat better, I'm good with that. I will support a doctor in him promoting good eating habits every single time. Until they're giving out just like that crazy advice. But yeah, I really think that like doctors are a lot of the problem here. Everybody looks at a doctor and says, God, they just know everything. Well, that's not accurate whatsoever. And I also know a lot of doctors. Thank you. What was I going to say? Oh, I know multiple doctors that are just like they're the kind of people that were just really good at taking tests, and they didn't have real much ability to think. For instance, the idea that you have like a certain amount of weight in your gut right now that is undigested. It's like, well, yeah, of course you, and they say it like it's something that everybody doesn't know. They say it as if it just stays there all the time. It's like it just stays there. It doesn't move. It's just always there that you have this, like, whatever it is that they say, like 20 pounds or whatever, 12 pounds or whatever it is that you have in your gut. That's because it's being processed. Like, let's think this through a little bit. It's like the idea that if you swallow chewing gum, that chewing gum takes 6 years to break down in your gut. Well, it's not like the chewing gum stays there. The chewing gum's going to keep on processing out. But thanks for commenting, Emily. It's fun to chat back and forth with you. I wish that Facebook makes it so there's a 45-second delay. So if you put anything out, I'm not going to see it for 45 seconds, which is kind of too bad. But what do you guys think? Like, should in future people that are watching this, please comment on the bottom. Like, do you think that women should exercise while pregnant? Do you think that, and like, how hard should they go? Yeah, they definitely are trained to prescribe drugs. I see that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not much. I think people are kind of lazy. I don't really like using that word, but let's say they're not motivated to actually try to help people, and maybe that's just like we're not willing to take the time with them or whatever it is. But when you want to like look at depression, I mean, some people probably do have a real chemical thing going on, but we know that we can take brain scans. I shouldn't say no, but it's looking pretty conclusive that we can take brain scans, and the brain literally changes as we think differently, as we go through different points of our lives, as we meditate, for instance. So you take a person who has meditated for 12 weeks, and their brain will literally, the physical structure of their brain will change. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and competed in kettlebell pregnant. Competed. And that's a big deal. I mean, that's a ton different than just doing a moderate level workout. And you listen to these doctors talk about what you should and shouldn't do while you're pregnant, and you would think that you're like that you can barely walk down the street. It's like, don't get in the car. You could get in an accident. Well, yeah, of course you could get in an accident. What is currently doing? That's awesome. Good for her. That's badass. Rachie joined. Rachie 1216. Yeah, I mean, competition is a totally different scenario, and I bet you that baby is going to come out better off because of it. You know, going into labor in shape, the labor is probably going to go better. Coming out of labor and you were in shape before you came in, and I bet you that you're going to be that you're going to recover faster. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, 100%. Like the idea that you're supposed to gain all this weight while you're pregnant is absolute nonsense. Like, why should you gain 100 pounds just because you're pregnant? Besides that most of the population is walking around overweight already, obviously stay at a healthy weight. We're not trying to lose weight while you're pregnant, but come on, like think this through. I mean, you need to eat. You probably need to eat more. Eating more doesn't mean you eat 3,000 calories more per day. Eating more means you eat 500 calories more per day. I don't know if those are accurate. Like those are just numbers I'm throwing out. Just for those aren't real, but. Unhappy I didn't live for 9 months. Yeah, it sucks to not exercise. Exercise helps with everything. Yeah, exercise, it feels good. I mean, even if you get a crappy workout in, most of the time it still feels good. Think what it feels like when you get a really good workout in on a consistent basis, especially like if you leave like 10% left in the tank at the end of your workout, so you feel like coming back tomorrow, your body's rested, it's ready, it's time to go. That's a good thing. That's a very, very, very good thing. Like you got to push the boundaries of your physical condition at times, but sometimes you got to work smart too. Pregnancy, anxiety. Yeah, anxiety, depression, recovery from pregnancy. Exactly. I could not agree more. You know, like if we're really looking at what the killers are in our society, do you really think it's the tobacco and the alcohol and cancer? And no, it's stress, man. Stress kills people, like depression, anxiety, anger, just constantly being at ends with yourself. You know, like that's what kills people. And you look at other countries, they're whatever you got. I don't think we've gotten very good measures on happiness, but we've gotten pretty good measures on what depression is and what's killing people. Yeah, it's a magnificent machine. The body is amazing. Like what I've seen people be able to do with their body is insane. I think that we're just scratching the surface of human potential. And I don't really like the word potential, but like what humans can do. I mean, it's insane what we can do. It's nuts. And a lot of the time, it's just it's a mindset thing that's holding people back. You know, mindset's a big portion of it. You know, when I'm talking about health, like an all-encompassing kind of health sort of thing, because I really think exercise should be about health. Exercise shouldn't necessarily be about fitness. I look at fitness as being like fit to a task. You know, like an NFL lineman is one of the most fit people on earth. Even though he's overweight and he can't walk across a room without getting tired, you know, he's fit to a task. He's one of the best. He's the most fit person to be able to take a defender and hold him in position before they get to his quarterback. He's the most fit person in the world for that task. I look at exercise as a different deal. So when I'm looking at health and all encompassing health, I'm thinking exercise, mindset, recovery, nutrition. Okay, so we've got to get this whole encompassing deal going on. The feeling of belonging from exercise with friends or sitting at home. Yeah, no brainer. To us, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're looking at we had this conversation with Elena Cardone this weekend. She was like, she came up to Rachel and I, she goes, she's, in her words, she goes, y'all like real gym people. And she didn't say it quite that hick, but anyway, she said, like, you all like real gym people. You enjoy the gym. And I'm like, I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I really like how it makes me feel. And I do it anyway, even if I don't like it. But it was funny because she's like, I hate the gym, I hate doing it, but I do it anyway. And I think a lot of people think, like, I hate the gym, so I don't do it. Or they're scared of the gym, so they don't do it. Or they have all these reasons for why they don't do it. But if they got into it, they'd realize how much better it feels than sitting at home. And you've got this doctor who is the same fear as that thing that I was just saying, filling your head with all their nonsense, not all your nonsense, their nonsense, and you believed it because they're a doctor. Now, I'm kind of hating on doctors today. I really kind of would. I hate to hate on doctors. I hate to really put down a portion of the health scenario that is very real. You know, doctors deal with sick people, so I kind of have a hard time calling it healthcare. We deal with healthy people. But that's okay. I don't really want to hate on them. What I would like to see is a flip in how we actually communicate with people and the message that we're putting across. There's almost zero reason to not exercise. I don't care if I mean there's that wrestler who he doesn't have arms or legs. He's just got like these protrusions. He's just got his humerus and his femur, and he still finds a way to wrestle and exercise. And then, you know, we saw a little girl this weekend that was in a wheelchair. She couldn't move any of her joints. She couldn't move anything. Her head was tilted to the side, but she could talk. And she was like 6 years old. Her name was Maggie. She's a huge inspiration. And I mean, it was just like stabbed me in the heart, man. Like, just like killed me. We saw her, and the guy. And this wasn't staged or anything, but it was just like obvious. It was just like, and at this conference that we were at, they did this thing where they said, write down your 3 biggest problems. And then they didn't have this plan. This little girl just like right in front of me all of a sudden, and it's just like, and I think I got problems. I don't got problems. There's this courageous little girl that got on stage. She's like 6 years old, just murdered me. And you think you got problems? Like, you don't have problems. There's no reason, like, this little girl finds a way to move herself around in a non-wheelchair accessible home. That's what I wasn't. The conference, part of the conference was actually trying to raise some money for her to have wheelchair accessibility in her home so she could do more things, which like, duh. Like, yeah, give her your last dime, you know? If I can, I'll find the link and I'll put it in the comments below. I'll put it in the actual post. So if you guys want to give any money to Maddie, you can. But it's just like this little really courageous girl, and then you have other people that are like, no, I can't go to the gym, and I'm going to make up all these other reasons to not go. So you're going to avoid all of these things that are going to help you feel better and live better and experience your life the way you want to live it. That's mind blowing. You know, for me too, I have mindset stuff that I've got to get over. But anyway. Yeah, you have to listen to your body, pregnant or not. 100%. Yeah. And that goes 2 ways, right? You know, like sometimes you feel like not doing it, and maybe you shouldn't do it at those times, and other times you got to force yourself to do it. You got to do it anyway, right? That's one of my big things. I say that all the time. I say that like 500 times a day. You got to do it anyway. Yeah, exercise stuff. Feeling belonging from exercise. Sitting on no brainer. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys are just getting here, go ahead and write hello in the comments below, and please share this out on your feed. You just hit the share button, and then you hit the share button. It is so simple. Facebook. So they're so smart. But yeah, like, I think this is a topic that really needs to get covered. Like I do. I don't know if you guys do. I hope you do. But should women exercise while they're pregnant? Like, should you exercise regardless? Oh, storage is full. Just a sec, guys. Yeah, do you guys, some of the stuff that we covered earlier, because there's a lot more people here than there were, not a lot more, but a few more people here. So basically, when you're pregnant, your joints are more, the hormones being released actually create a little bit more laxity in your joints. But women already have that, you know? Women typically, not every one of them, but typically women have a little bit more laxity in their joints. They're a little bit more flexible, tend to be more hypermobile. I don't really like the word hypermobile because it kind of negates what the actual definition of mobility is. but they have a little bit more laxity in their joints, so they tend to need more stability work, whereas guys are the complete opposite. We tend to be more stiff, so we need more mobility work, right? We need to stretch more. Now, what doctors fill women's head with typically is you can't lift over 12 pounds and you should stop exercising immediately. This is totally ridiculous. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. Should you lift while you exercise? Should you lift while you exercise? Should you exercise? Should you lift while you're pregnant? And what would be the most appropriate exercises to do while you're pregnant? Because, I mean, no doubt about it, things change. You're not going to sit down, you're not going to do a plank with a 8-month pregnancy. Because there's just so much weight down there, her stomach muscle, she's going to end up kind of reaching back and kind of resting on the, like, kind of her passive structural limitations of each joint. We were just talking about people make excuses that they work out because they have bad knees, running is the only exercise. Yeah, running is the only exercise. Let's go with that for a second, because I once, maybe TMI, I don't know, but this is back in my way early years. This is back before I met Rach, way before Grit Gym. Anyway, I saw this girl. We kept eyeing each other back and forth across the bar when I used to go to bars. And so eventually I went up and talked to her and just said hello, and then she asked me what I do, and we got on the whole thing. I'm into exercise and all this stuff. She asked me how many miles I ran a day, and I was just like, I don't jog. I personally despise jogging on a personal level. If other people want to do it, whatever you enjoy. I mean, I think of it as recreation and a bad or a kind of a faulty, poor system of transportation. But anyway, she called me a fraud. She just got mad at me. She was like, "You are a fraud." Well, running isn't the only exercise. And really, if you got bad knees and if you're pregnant, running probably isn't the best exercise. I almost guarantee it's not. I mean, that's up to opinion. Who knows what my opinion will be 10 years from now. But for right now, I'm going to say running is not the best exercise. We do want your heart rate up to probably between that 120 to 140 beats per minute for about 30 to 45 minutes. But we only want that about once a week. Once a week is enough to keep your aerobic base. So you've got your glycolytic, you have your alactic, and you have your aerobic base. Your aerobic base has to be there. We need that to build upon the other two. But at the same time, you can't just build the aerobic base and just build the aerobic base and go wide with that. At some point, we need to go big. We need to top heavy that thing. Something that you did before you were pregnant, you can do it while you're pregnant. Yeah, modifications may be easy, necessary, but growing growing a human should be the absolute reason why you do it, right? I mean, lessons start very early. I don't know where they start, but I tend to think why? Who's to say that baby doesn't start develop? I mean, that baby's brain is developing while it's inside you. So who's to say that it's not kind of developing some of the things that it's experiencing while it's there? I mean, it can probably hear a certain amount of the things that you say. It can probably feel some of the things that you're feeling. I mean, we talked about stress levels earlier. You want to decrease stress levels, well, you better exercise. Stress is what makes it hard to get pregnant and stay pregnant. You want to talk about what really kills babies, what really kills people? It's stress, man. It's not that was one of the new things in the past maybe 10, 15 years is that, and this is one of the things that I kind of agree with doctors on, because a lot of doctors will tell women to continue to smoke through their pregnancy, just back off considerably. Back off the smokes considerably, but if you stop smoking cold turkey, your body's going to be so stressed out that it will actually reject the baby. I mean, that's awful. It's awful. Another reason to just not smoke at all. Yeah, but if you could do it before if you could do it before you were pregnant, you could probably do it after you're pregnant, or during your pregnancy. I suppose that would still be after you're pregnant, wouldn't it? Because you're not pregnant after you have the baby, but you are pregnant while you're, anyway. Yeah. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean that it's a valid reason to stop exercising. There's what's his name, the blonde guy, the Hot Pocket comedian. He has that stand-up joke that he does where he says, that when he sees really fit, really in shape people walk into the gym, he's like, "What are you doing here? You're done." No, it's hilarious, and he knows what he's saying, but at the same time, like, I think a lot of people really do think like that. They think, now once I get there, I'll be done. No, you continue to do it. It's the continuity of the whole thing. It's the consistency that really matters. Tanya? This is interesting because Tanya and I actually went to high school together. It's kind of wild. It's Iowa, so it's not like I'm that far away, but kind of interesting how things go sort of full circle. If you guys have an opinion on this, I've never been pregnant, obviously, but if you have an opinion on this, please say. Janet's not going to give an opinion. She didn't want to be on video. She probably doesn't even like it that I'm doing this right now. Unless you do.
Say you don't start doing weights when you're pregnant.
You don't start doing weights?
You do it before.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that? She said you don't just start when you're pregnant. You do it before. So you're just continuously going through it. I guarantee you that I don't think she lifted back when she was pregnant. Did you?
What?
Did you lift back when you were?
I didn't lift.
You didn't lift. She didn't lift. Did you do Cindy Crawford?
Nobody lifted.
Did you do Jane Fonda?
Yes.
Yeah. Was Jane Fonda the burn baby burn?
I don't know if it was burn.
She doesn't know if it was burn baby burn, but no, you should do weights. You should do weights. People need to be strong. The stronger you are, the easier it is to do everything that you need to do. You should put your exercise first. You got to put you first on some level. I'm not saying on all levels, but on some level, you got to put you first. If you put you first, you're a better service to all those that you care about, and you're better at all the things that make you great. So you got to put your exercise first. If you're not putting exercise into your day, then that's a big problem. If you're thinking that you can't exercise because you're pregnant, well, that's ridiculous. That's almost putting yourself in the victim category. And I guarantee you that your future child doesn't want to be the reason that you gained 100 pounds and couldn't get it off and felt terrible because of it. I'm not saying that everybody feels terrible because they gained 100 pounds, but it's kind of like the chasing your dreams thing. I hear parents use this every once in a while. They're like, "Well, I'll write that book when the kids are out of the house," or I can't find time to write the book because the kids need me. It's like, I guarantee you that kid 20 years from now does not want to be the source of resentment for you not going for your dreams, not writing that book, not doing what you wanted to do. I guarantee that kid would have gladly not had you in the stands at his Little League game, so while you're at home writing your book, going for your dream. That's awesome. When did you start doing that? So Emily said that she's birthing a business currently. But yeah, you got to put yourself first. Obviously, like if you take life as a snapshot, not Snapchat, but as a snapshot. At this point in your life, maybe. Like for me, it's a lot of work at this point in my life. I want to do big things. I want to help a lot of people. I want to be as influential as I possibly can. Because I got 20 years of knowledge. I've studied for at least 1 hour every single day for the past 20 years. Man, I got a lot of knowledge about strength and conditioning up here. I got to give that out. I got to help. It drives me nuts that I've been playing it so small for so long. But if I don't put me first, that's not what I was saying. If I just take a snapshot of right here, right now, at this point in my life, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be hardly any family. It's going to be hardly any time to myself. You got all these Venn diagrams, but maybe 50 years from now, it's going to be a ton of family, a little bit of work, but if I balance that over the course of an entire lifetime, maybe maybe I think balance is kind of a BS thing anyway. Like, I think you can put it all in. Like the idea that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Then why would you have cake? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Maybe not the dumbest, but it's an easy phrase to use. Emily, tell me about your business. I'd really like to hear about it. I mean, you don't have to put it here, but maybe in a direct message. I kind of have a special place in my heart for entrepreneurs. This is a really interesting time to become an entrepreneur because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I think 20 years ago, people didn't really think too highly of entrepreneurs. But it's kind of interesting because that movie with George Bailey and Mr. Potter, people tend to forget, like Mr. Potter seems like a jerk in that movie, but people tend to forget that George Bailey was also an entrepreneur. I also think on some level everybody's an entrepreneur. I don't think just a few people are, but I think wealth replaced food and water, and if you went back in time far enough, you would have taught your kids, and you would have been able to find food and water if you needed it. So if wealth replaced food and water, and entrepreneurship is about creating wealth, then you just provided for your family. You are an entrepreneur. Oh, cool. Nice. Are you doing that in Iowa City? This is an interesting thing. This is an interesting thing that I just learned. I just learned this not that long ago. Apparently, when we started upping our social media game, a lot of people, they had no idea that we were in Iowa City, that we were in their backyard. Yeah, we are in Iowa City. Grid Gym is in Iowa City. We've actually been here for going on, we'll be up to 7 years here pretty soon. But yeah, to us, it's about inspiring the experience you want to live. You got an experience, you got status quo, you got personal status quo that is keeping you from living the experience that you want to, or having the experience that you want to live in this life. That's hard. That's hard, man. I mean, and it didn't hit me until a few years ago, and somebody just posed it right in front of my face, and it was just like I didn't know that this personal status quo was keeping me from what I actually wanted to have. I was just recycling experiences, and I think a lot of people are doing this, and this is a lot of the reason why women don't. Why doctors tell women to not exercise while they're pregnant, why women don't exercise while they're pregnant, why women don't start exercising and lifting before. I mean, I kind of understand the women not wanting to lift thing because it's just been beaten to your head for so long that you're not supposed to lift, it'll make you bulky. Anyway. Please, as well as payroll taxes and for bigger spaces. Yeah. Talk about payroll taxes suck. Talk about something that I try to stay positive on these things, but yeah, I don't know if there's hopefully taxes are going to a good place. That's how I'll keep that positive. But what do you think, guys? Should we keep this going? Should we talk about, did anybody not get filled on in the beginning? So basically you've got a few different things when you're pregnant. You've got your joints become a little bit more lax. You probably don't want to pull Valsalva maneuver. So with the joints being a little bit more lax, they just have a little bit more flexibility. So it's stuff that you're already dealing with anyway. You probably don't want to pull Valsalva maneuver where you're really hammering down to get a last rep. You are going to have to eat a little bit more, but you don't need to be gaining 100 pounds during a pregnancy. Actually, that would be really, you're seeing this more and more now. I mean, diabetes is actually, the number of people having diabetes is giving us more research now than has ever been able to be collected. The diabetes epidemic is unreal. But we're getting so much information from this that it's kind of insane. And I think you're just going to see more of it too. The more these women that full-heartedly believe in this, I've got to gain a bunch of fat while I'm pregnant, I think they're going to have more and more and more babies that are born diabetic. This is really sad. I mean, that's something that's really going to affect, from a health standpoint, the outcome of that kid's life, their entire life. You just stole some of their experience because of what a doctor. Because of your belief in what a doctor told you. And I'm not trying to throw everything under the bus that doctors say. Like, doctors do say some good things. And there are really good doctors out there, but I think that there's a lot more really bad ones. Just like there's a lot of really bad personal trainers and strength coaches in the world, which is too bad. There's scumbags, there's thieves, there's people who really have good intentions but have no clue what they're doing. There's people who say that they care, but but when I ask them, well, how many books, like what's the last few books that you read, they're like, well, I pick up a fitness magazine every now and then. Well, then you don't care. That's a strength trainer that doesn't care. But that's some of the, anyway, I'm a tangent master of tangents. But it is 1:15. I got to sign off because I got a bunch of other stuff to do before people come in here pretty soon. So if you guys like this, please share this on your feed. Follow us on here. Share us with your friends. If you like the message that we're putting out, it's something that I think a lot of people need to hear is that idea that they can actually experience their life the way they want to live it if they're willing to have the courage and the guts to go through with what they need to challenge in their own mind. But anyway, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for listening, guys. Please share this on your Facebook feed to all your friends.